15% of the people at the acquired company are going to be really excited. They're going to believe in the vision. They're going to get excited. And then you're going to get 15% that are going to be like, oh, PE, we got acquired. It's going to be terrible. And you got 70% in the middle. It's promoters and detractors. You need to go ahead and amplify the promoters, and you need to look at getting rid of those 15%. Because if you lose the hearts and minds of the people, you're going to leave, and then you're going to lose clients.
MSPs looking to merge to form platforms must remember two key truths. Number one, your primary assets are your people and your clients, not your tech stack. When you integrate, you must protect those key assets. Second, in any integration, have a growth plan ready to offset the inevitable attrition that will occur. Folks, today's guest is Mike Williams, one of the architects behind what became Logically, the MSP industry's first successful PE-backed platform company. As Logically's Chief Strategy Officer, Mike helped shape its acquisition and integration strategy. And today, through Enterprise Value Partners, he is helping founders and platform companies bring businesses together to create even greater value. Mike is here to share his insights on what are key things MSPs should and shouldn't do when they merge to form platforms. Listen in. But first, let us get some housekeeping out of the way. My name is Madhur Dugar. I am a senior advisor at Exendio Advisors, focused around MSPs and IT services. If you are interested in how we are helping MSPs exit or grow inorganically, connect with me over LinkedIn. Visit our website at www.exendio.com or write to me at md@exendio.com. Let's get started. Mike, welcome to my M&A Insights podcast. I am so excited to have you on this today. I think we first met, or actually I saw you on the panel and the IT Nation Grow Houston conference, and you guys were talking about the FlexPath situation. And I was like, boy, I really have to connect with Mike, and I have to get his story and everything he's been doing on recording. So I appreciate that very, very much.
Well, it's a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Everyone in the MSP space has heard about Logically, right? But many are murky about what it was about and some of the details. Give us an outline of what led to the formation of Logically. Why are we even talking about it so many years forward? And what was your role in it?
In like 2013, I started doing analysis of I started to look at the age of the business owners of MSPs because we're very fragmented. And I was like, man, most of these guys started off as PC repair guys back in the 80s, and then they evolved into MSPs. And I was like, the light just came on in 2013. I was like 35% of these owners are going to be at the age that they're going to want to transition out over the next decade. And I came to realization is that either to be competitive long-term, we're either going to become an acquirer or be acquired. And that's what, that's the first thing we did is like, we decided that we wanted to be that company that starts to acquire. Logically was the first one to do peer group merger. We did that back in 2017, and that became the foundation of Logically. So that was the first thing is like understanding that there's going to be consolidation and embracing it. In 2015, Logically was about an $8 million enterprise value company. We had gone out to market. We didn't like what we got back. 2018, so 3 years later, it's actually more like 2.5 years later, we actually set the market at $59.5 million in enterprise value because I focused on inorganic growth and enterprise value. So that became... Yeah, and that's what creates the mechanism why Logically became an early platform. But then again, that I'm making a big assumption that we had the framework, we had just great staff and people and products.
Mm-hmm. And when Logically comes together in the initial years, were you the founders of one of the MSPs that became part of Logically?
Yep.
Am I thinking about this right? Yeah. And there were a few other MSPs that came together to form that partnership.
There was. So I immediately, because again, we were very new into the whole PE. We were very early. PE
Yeah.
was very early into our market.
Mm-hmm.
I became like the chief strategy officer, and I focused on organic growth. I was embedded into the deal team. I did the financial analysis along with that team. I made the final go or no go on the acquisitions, and then I kicked it off into integration management. And we did 9 acquisitions in 2.5 years. It
Mm-hmm.
grew up to over 100 million, and we're about 350% ahead of plan on inorganic growth. And yeah, exciting times. It was
That is
like
incredible.
I went from like running a business. I was running, a successful MSP to playing Monopoly. So it was good times.
Yeah. If you were to go back and advise your younger self, during those early logically days, to do something differently, would there be something you would advise yourself to do differently?
I would have taken more time to understand my private equity partner. I would have taken more time to talk to the companies in their portfolio. And the key is the budget. If you're an operator and you're rolling in, and you could continue to be an operator, you need to be involved with the budget. You need to understand your budget because you're going to be measured by the budget. And the second that you don't go ahead and hit the budget and the forecasts is when you lose control. And you have to understand that the private equity team, the deal team is actually getting compensated on making deals. So these guys are going to go ahead and they're going to get bonused if they land the deal. And in order to get financing for that deal, they might be a little optimistic with the budget that they're putting together that then gets handed to you. You should have input on that. You should not get handed a budget that you did not have, that's not going to be realistic for you to deliver. So understanding private equity, there's fantastic people out there, but understanding their DNA and then understanding that you need to control your budget are like 2 keys that will make you a happy operator as you transition from private to being invested in.
That is excellent advice. I think what you're telling me is the budget is a line you need to manage. It is a line you have to negotiate. You shouldn't be accepting it if it doesn't make sense, because it's going to come back to hurt you.
You perfectly summarized it.
What separates MSPs that successfully integrate into a platform from those that you think struggle after the transaction?
The great thing about a platform is it allows these owners to go ahead and shed the things that is low value that they should not be doing, and then focus on the things that they're best at and that they enjoy doing. And a lot of times that's relationships. These owners, like, they're great at relationships. That's how they get to go. So that all makes sense. But then the owner gets acquired, and now they have a JOB. So they don't realize they work for someone. So many of my friends that have gone through and joined the platform, they look worn. They have to do stuff. And then the second thing is, so that excludes half of them. And then the ones that remain, they don't realize that there's some sort of like dopamine addiction of the chaos. They thought like, oh, this is hell, making all these decisions and being in front and being the hero on all these things. And all of a sudden now they're part of a bigger team, and like, here is your job. And then here are your KPIs. And it's like it's very narrow, and it's and that is hard too. So a lot of times the ones from a leadership team, a lot of ones that don't succeed are, those owners don't make the transition. And then I would say that the biggest thing that for MSPs that struggle or not as successful investments is that there's no process. Again, we're back to people. Everything is like, Wendy does all the procurement. We don't know, all of a sudden Wendy all of a sudden, like, you're a great company. Wendy's now head of procurement and you have 5 locations. She is burned out. She has all the process. She walks away. Now you have 5 locations with no procurement process.
Again, lots of great takeaways there. I think you started with this aspect of losing your independence, and you might not love that, right? You talked about I would call it operational maturity. So your processes aren't laid out properly. And so now when you integrate into the platform, a lot of that know-how might be lost because someone who was key to managing that process is now gone. And so now you're fumbling around trying to make it work again. So I think those are also great points. What are some of the common challenges you're seeing, a $4, $5, $6 million MSP face in the market?
And this one will apply to every MSP.
Every MSP, okay.
Sales is king. Organic growth is so hard. Like we're finding that a lot of 90% of the enterprise value creation is the deployment of capital and arbitrage. That these guys, that what they're doing is when they're doing integration, I talk a lot about trust. When you're doing integration and breaking eggs, that breaking is the eggs is trust. You run through what they think integration is, and they think it's systems and tools, and they don't. It's only the platforms that have been doing this for a while that will be like, oh no, wait a second, the long tail of integration, and the hard part is integration are people. We didn't think about the culture. We didn't think about change management. Not change management like I had to tell somebody when I reboot a server, but helping communicating the idea of the change that's coming up, training people, getting feedback, going through and that over communication to get people to embrace the change. Otherwise, all the stuff is changing and there's no sort of change management program. That's where integrations start to fall apart again. And then once you start to lose your people, you lose your account manager and you lose your lead tech at a site.
It's downhill from there.
That customer you just became a commodity. Totally. People that trust just walked out the door. I don't understand my bill. I'm not sure what I'm getting. Then these questions come up. It's renewal time. Should I shop it? So sales is king, organic growth. And I think that, again, the MSP market, I think the same things apply, is that if I'm an owner, what my challenges are on the smaller side, it's still getting through those plateaus. If I want to get beyond 3 or 5 million, how do I develop a leadership team that I can delegate tasks so I can expand? And then and then it relates to my first point, organic growth. How do I take these sales and start to get lead generation outside of just of referrals?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. So they grow up to a certain point, and then to go past that point, you have to have a leadership team underneath you to be able to take on the responsibilities to allow your business to scale. And many haven't thought that far, just been too busy, and so now they haven't built that expertise.
And it's like the tyranny of the urgent. They know that they have they like these people coming up, but they're like, I could do this for myself. It'll take me an hour versus me spending the day trying to train somebody. They keep on holding on to they keep on making that excuse, and then they're in the same boat a year later. Whereas if they invest that time, they would have elevated.
Yeah, I totally hear you. It's very
so I'll tell you one thing about that. It's not that I'm a genius. Again, I just have a lot of experience. So I started through my peer group. One of the things that it was foundational in there is work-life balance. And I'm a workaholic, and I found out that in order for me, and my kids were 6, 9, and 12 at the time, and I knew that I wanted to really start to connect deeper with my children. I didn't want them to be graduating from high school and me not know them. So I started through my peer group, I started to come up with a plan. I'm really good at managing projects. Every 2 years, I would take my family on a cross-country Airstream trip for 90 days.
Oh, wow.
Changed my life. It was the peer groups made me a better business person, but this changed my life and my happiness and my relationship with my family. And then what I found is that when I was out of the office for 90 days, my leadership team took up the slack. Every time I went away, they exponentially grew. The company got better. One Halloween, they took a picture of my chair for Halloween, and this is Mike's costume because I wasn't there. They were just goofing on me for not being around. But it's for me, I had to get out of the office in order to help myself make that leadership team, and that helped logically.
What are the first 100 days after a transaction that determine, in your opinion, whether an integration is going to be successful or not?
Sales. Focus on sales, and then number 2, no excuse for a drop in performance. And again, realize, and related to the second one, you have to view integration is an internal operational thing, what you don't want to do is think like, oh, I don't need to hire these people to help me out with integration or do this integration of that. I have project guys, I have high level engineers. Like MSPs often delude themselves that like, oh, I could do that. Well, yeah, you can do it.
Right.
Should you do it? Because what you're doing is you're taking these guys who are billing out at $250 an hour, and then you're all of a sudden they're working on internal projects, and then you realize that 6 months after, gosh, 1+1 = 1.5. So
Right.
yeah. So I would say, like, right off the bat, understand. And again, it's really hard to get new logos. I would say that it's not like day one what you should be doing. I say that integration success starts at like 40. Once you get to like quality of earnings and you're heading towards a deal, I would start working on your pre-close checklist. Like, again, what do the agreements look like? Start mapping out like here's all of our agreements, here's all of our offerings, here's all of our SKUs. Map out the acquired company. Let's map out how are our products going to align, and then identify like, oh man, like here's a whole bunch of security upsell we have because that's low hanging fruit. So day one, have a plan for upsell to get, because you're going to get some attrition from, it's just change. You're probably going to get some attrition with customers. But if you immediately start off with low-hanging fruit, an increase in revenue, that'll position you to do well long-term. But again, so that's the second thing is like, you get one chance to make a first impression. You need to have, again, you need to have your integration management office. You need to have a plan. You need to have a communication plan. You need to have a change management plan. Like, again, understanding this company coming in, it's change for them. And like, it does this all the time. 15% of the people at the acquired company are going to be really excited. They're going to believe in the vision. They're going to get excited. And then you're going to get 15% that are going to be like, oh, PE, we got acquired. It's going to be terrible. And you got 70% in the middle.
Yep.
It's promoters and detractors. You need to identify those promoters, because the 70% in the middle, and again, this gets back to no one thinks about people. You need to go ahead and amplify the promoters, and you need to look at getting rid of those 15%, because you can lose, if you lose the hearts and minds of the people, they're going to leave, and then you're going to lose clients.
Then let's turn to FlexPath. So like you said, IT Nation Grow Houston, the founders of the leadership team at FlexPath was on a panel with you. They were talking about coming together. It was really exciting for everybody to hear about. It was early days. What are you learning from that experience that you can share with us? How is that story evolving?
It's incredible. And I'd say that the great thing about FlexPath, I'll bring it back to, is the peer groups. These guys know each other. They like each other. They had some sort of sense of the core values. And we know, again, we could put down on a spreadsheet, we can power our way through like technical integrations. But when you have alignment in people, in values coming together into a platform, and then what they did too is like, besides knowing each other for a little while, they also, as individual leaders, they were all alphas. As individual leaders, they embraced the greater goal of FlexPath. And then we had our first VTO meeting that we were going through to develop like, what is the strategic plan for FlexPath? And the first thing is the people, like, what does our leadership team look like, and what are the roles? Everyone around the table, no one volunteered for a role. We went around in the group, said, hey, you'd be great at organic growth, or you would be the right person for HR. Like, and everyone embraced the role. And that's very hard. Again, they each embraced the role on the leadership team, and they elected a CEO. And by getting through that and getting aligned on where we're heading and having a plan through like EVP, having a plan on integration, they focused on, so again, for any people say, what's the most important thing with integration? The most important thing, like when you look through the playbooks for integration, 80% of the tasks in the integration are operational. 20% might be related to sales. Sales is king. Like, forget the 80%. Sales and revenue pays for the operational integration to happen. What they did is they went in, we actually, besides merging, we bought a company within the first month. So we're merging three companies.
And you buy another one, yeah.
And we bought a company. We went in, we did a SWAT team into the company we bought. They had $80,000 of recurring revenue that was like a semi-break fix.
Okay.
We focused on that revenue, and we turned that $80,000 into $120,000 of true higher priced managed service. Sales is king. Make sure that your integration is focused around sales first, and that pays for everything else.
What was the vision behind launching enterprise value partners, and what gap did you see in the market that is looking to address?
And logically, to help us out, our PE partner brought in a company that has done like 60 integrations across like manufacturing, mid-market. Like they had a playbook, they had governance, they had all the charters, they had all the framework of integrating companies. And then I had used their process 9 times. As I phased out of logically, I bought that company and then named it Enterprise Value Partners. What we've done at Enterprise Value Partners is taken all that experience and then we put it into a SaaS program that we're using AI now to ingest the data, help customize the playbooks, give you real-time dashboards, and then keep the focus on work streams and synergies and KPIs that will lead to the success criteria that you defined in the beginning. And then so we're going to end saving time and probably costs about like a third of what it used to do when we used to use consultants. We don't want you to hire us to be long-time consultants. We're giving you a SaaS product that is do-it-yourself. Like we'll be there. We build in consulting time each month to check with you and share our experience. But we want to make this as light and as inexpensive, this tool to help you to be able to do multiple integrations at the same time.
So 2 questions there. Number 1, who would be the ideal MSP client for you, on an EVP assignment? And then when you do provide them this tool, is it like on a monthly subscription basis, or how does it work?
We get a lot of early platforms. Oftentimes the private equity company might actually bring us in versus the CEO, but sometimes the CEO reaches out to us. So that's the ideal one. We have another subset of customers that are like small MSPs that are private, that are acquiring like little tuck-ins near them. The third bucket of people that will reach out to us are like people who've done companies that have done integrations, but realize either a couple things. They've had difficulties. They need to have it come in and fixed, cleaned up, and or they're doing so many integrations that they need additional capacity. We take your board deck. We take your monthly operational meeting. We take your VTO. Like we take information about you specifically, and we ingest that. We take the due diligence from the deal team, and we ingest that and what we do is we take our playbook of 2,000 tasks and send it out in bite-sized chunks every week to be like, okay, it's just a drumbeat. Like this is what you're supposed to get done last week, and this is what you're supposed to do over the next 2 weeks. All this data then flows into our system. Then you can have real-time update of like, how are we doing on the synergies work stream? How are we doing on the cross-sell upsell work stream? Like at a very high, like we could see how integrated are we at the first 100 days.
So let's talk about platforms in the future, right? What do you think is, we know that this industry is so fragmented, just so that people may have heard this out, but let me just say this, by and large, there are like 50,000 MSPs in the country, something like 40,000 of them have fewer than 10 people. The natural size of an MSP, to what you said, is about $4 million, so there are many reasons for why people can't grow past that. People understand that this is an aging population of owners, that there is consolidation coming. What does this consolidation to you look like?
So a couple of things. I'll talk about consolidation and acceleration of consolidation at a high level, and then actually how integrations will be impacted. But what I'm seeing right now, and what I think is that I go back to, and a lot of people talk about this, in 2013, there were people who are like thought leaders are saying like MSPs are going to be gone in 3 or 4 years because of the cloud. At the time, multiples were like 4x the EBITDA. MSPs, they hold the trust relation. They're partners to these companies So they were able to then we as an industry, we stood up and we were the ones that migrated people to the cloud. And now people are talking about like AI, 3 years, there's no more MSPs. Right now, like we have a foothold, there's a high value, like the operational mature MSPs have trust in, like we have a high value in security. We have a foothold in security. What's going to be under attack in terms of margin and revenue is going to be service desk.
Mm-hmm.
We have an opportunity. The companies that will go ahead and make the investment, we need to transition that revenue and margin from service desk into being that partner to guide them through AI and automation. We will continue because small businesses want to work with people like they trust us.
Agreed.
Help them out with the AI and automation. What's going to happen, I think, is that a lot of the small companies, the guys that are like 55 to 65 are going to say like, I just don't have the energy to do that. Maybe it is time for me now to go ahead and find a partner who's I can roll some equity in with and take it to the next level. So I think that we're going to continue to see, I think multiples are going to hold. There's going to be continued consolidation at a higher level in AI. So AI is going to help drive it from the gross level, but even on like integrations, the stuff we're looking at, I think that if we can, again, get more standardized data for these, like the smaller MSPs, if the smaller MSPs can start prepping for being acquired and have the processes and their data standardized, then as an acquiring, as a platform, I'll be able to use AI to not only be able to map out the integration playbook and plan better, but then I might actually have the opportunity to automate integration tasks. Like if I know what their data is, I know where it needs to go, and I'm able to, through due diligence, see what areas want to go where. Like, how can we use this to go ahead and start, like, not just making it easier to do integration, but automate portions of integration to save time and money?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's more the micro part of the operationalizing the actual act of the consolidation. And at the macro level, it is transitioning from services focused businesses to AI automation, security based businesses, if you want to preserve value there, right?
Yeah.
Do you think we will get FlexPath is an example where these guys knew each other because I think they were part of the same peer group, right? And they had this trust with each other. But as much as we would like everybody to be part of the same peer group, there's only a limited number of people who are going to actually be able to have that advantage. And a small percentage of that will actually do it this way. Do you think we will get to a place where MSPs from the same region, I'm thinking, let's say New York, New Jersey, Connecticut as an example, right, will be able to come together as a platform, even though they're not part of the same peer group? And what are some key moats we need to solve for that to happen?
I think that, I think that not only is it going to happen, but it's necessary. There is a need for entities to come up and start incubating, bringing these regional people together that they might not know each other, but they can align on, hey, here's the vision of together we're better. So and then the incubator, if they have a system, if they have domain expertise in brokering, or they have domain expertise in some area, then that incubator, but they have a partner that helps bring them together. They have a partner, almost like I'm doing with FlexPath, but I think that can be done by other entities other than like somebody who's built MSPs themselves. They may have more experience in like understanding the market, helping them get deals, doing analysis, which I would do. So
yeah, I agree with you. In fact, this incubation idea is something that I've been increasingly talking with other people on. Is there are certain pieces that have to be provided as a service, as let's call it as a platform as a service, right? Which is going to be this incubation guy doing this, and there are certain solutions that need to be part of this whole thing. Taking them to market is one of them. Providing an attorney for them to come together is another one. The integration operationalization is the third one. Helping them with some sort of like growth while they're trying to come together. Fourth one, standardizing their financial bookkeeping and reporting is another one. A company that manages to provide these services through people who are already respected and well regarded in the industry I think it's going to have the winning solution here. And there are 40,000 of these guys out there who are waiting for this solution. So I'm glad you said that this is how it has to go, because
We share that excitement. I think it's the next level. And it's great for the companies. It accelerates the enterprise value creation for the companies that join the incubator.
Yeah.
But it is what's better than and again, it's very fulfilling to bring these.
I totally agree. That is what excites me about it as well, is that you actually are creating value for two people to make them better together.
Exactly.
That is what excites me as well about it so much. Mike, it has been such a pleasure to have you on this podcast. So many things you said, so many insights in this. I'm going to have a hard time and a great time editing this freaking podcast, because I don't know what I'm going to be able to throw out. I really appreciate it.
It's funny. I was I was a little nervous before, always for podcasts, but this has been such a pleasure, and I appreciate your thoughtful questions and leading along and tying things together. This has been fantastic. Thank you.
That's awesome to hear, Mike. Really, really appreciate your saying that.